Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 180 of the Broken by Concept podcast, the number one solo queue educational and motivational podcast. Christmas special episode, Curtis. We've got the right outfit, we've got the fit-ins, we're giving people the gifts of solo queue motivation.
The Christmas spirit here at the Broken by Concept podcast.
The spirit of...
I noticed as well, because we're in Australia.
Yeah.
We got short sleeves.
Yeah, well, this is our official Santa suit in
shorts.
Australia is shorts.
It's hot over here.
That's right, because it's summer here, but it's winter in most of the rest of the world, so it's a bit different.
People watching this are like, what the hell? Summer.
You probably couldn't
Christmas.
imagine, but we're the opposite. We can't imagine snow because we don't have snow.
Yeah, no.
We never grew up
but we watch so much American,
yeah,
movies
no, but
and
we
stuff.
haven't experienced that.
No,
Like
never experienced a white Christmas.
like shoveling like snow.
Yeah. We literally don't
out
even
of your
get snow.
driveway.
Even in the winter, though, we don't even get snow here.
Never experienced. I would like to experience that one time
I would like to do a white Christmas one day. 1 year.
in New York City. That's where all the
Yep.
movies are, right?
In Times Square. Done. One day.
All right, so Curtis, today's planned episode, we always like to try and do something special. We try and spice it up a little bit. I think last year we did a mailbag.
I think one of them, someone even wrote to me on the league client, said, can you go and can talk about old Direwolf stories again? So I think
From
we
our
did that.
esports days.
I think we did that on one of the years.
I think it was our first year.
Was it? Was that the first
It
year?
would have
one?
been on the casting couch.
Right. But we're not doing that. We're not doing any more
No, we've
Direwolf
done our
stories. That's
esports stuff.
been there, done that.
If you want to look at that episode of that one, that was a fun one.
It was
We
a fun.
enjoyed that
It was a fun episode. But no more Direwolf stories.
one. Or esports stories.
Esports stories.
So today's one, we're going to do a bit of a recap. I mean, I guess this is sort of like a Christmas episode special, but it's sort of like a New Year's end in the year. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the year and just sort of reflect and sort of maybe even summarize some of our episodes or the highlight episodes, the ones that we liked. A lot of the questions always people get it because when we have lots of new people come to the podcast, let's say we on some Reddit thread and be like, you should watch the Broken by Concept podcast. Someone always says, where do I start? They're just overwhelmed. They see like 2-hour videos, like 180 of them, like this is overwhelming. It actually scares people.
And our opinion on certain things have changed as well, right? If you start from the
Eventually.
very beginning,
Yeah.
like episode 1,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's too overwhelming. We're going to do 1 year because I could barely even remember
it's
that.
bad, dude.
Is it bad?
It's not good.
I think it's good. I
It's
think
not
it was
good.
good.
Look, there were some gems, but there's a lot of crap, I think.
Is there really?
I think we weren't that great at
What
like,
about the period?
we were
1 to
just
50?
too sloppy in terms of we weren't getting across the points effectively, I don't think.
Yeah, but you're probably right. Episodes 1 to 50. I reckon 50 to 100 were good.
We got better.
Yeah.
We definitely got better. We're a lot better now than we used to be, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have a show now. We have structure.
Structure. That's
We didn't
the
have
key thing.
structure
No,
before.
We had no idea what we were doing.
And I think the structure is the key to success. Like today, right? Going over these episodes.
You have we've done the TikTok reactions and stuff like that. Like that was a structured
Yeah,
episode.
exactly.
We try and have themes for episodes.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so Kurz, let's look at our most popular episodes from pretty much every year. Let's start off with our ranked guide for this season.
Okay.
Now, I only have one real point from this one.
So this
Gotta
was
get
the
up my
season
notes.
13 ultimate ranked guide.
That's correct. The first 30 minutes of this episode, Curtis, we spoke about champ pools and meta champions for the first 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I looked back because I looked at the
Yeah.
timestamps.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just get it up quickly now here.
Yeah.
The first thing was champ pools for the first 11 minutes, and then champ pool cycling, and then does the meta matter, and that's the first 30 minutes. And I sort of listened back to what we sort of said because it's so interesting because we don't really talk much about meta here, or we're all about
Not as
pros and
much,
stuff like
no.
that. But for a ranked guide, just for league and people coming into the game, people lose their minds over champions. And I think you have to have a clear philosophy around what's the importance of champ mastery, what does a champ pool look like. I think even today, even people that are in my program and stuff like that, I still have the same questions all the time. Do I need an AP and AD champ in my pool? How many champions should I have in our pool? I can't actually remember exactly what we said in here, but my current stand-in with champ pools, and we'll probably have to get into this again in the rank guide, but sort of just a summary here, is 2 champions. Up
At
until
what rank?
Up until Diamond 4. but you're always specifically focusing on one champion in terms of your effort, your mastery. So like you put effort into one champion at a time, have like 2 champions. So like you might have, let's say,
So what does that look like specifically? Say you were to play a block.
a block.
So how does that
You
work?
could just play both, right? But your effort, your energy is going to be going into one. So maybe it's like a 2-1 ratio, maybe potentially.
Okay. So why 2 and why this? Explain to me this methodology.
I think
So I've never heard you
that's-
say this before.
Oh, really? Oh, geez. Okay, well, maybe this again. I would be interested in what we said here, but yeah, I just think this year I have once again realized how important Champ Mastery is. But there's always that battle with you lose your mind and you get worse with the champion. Sometimes the more you play it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like this battle. So I've sort of got like the 2 champs in there for that. And then adding into that whole champ pool cycling is
Yeah.
really important.
That's the
So
key, I
That's
feel
the key
like.
of success, right? So it's like I'm focusing on. I have 2 champs in my pool. I only touch 1 champ. I'm focusing on, and then it's like okay, I have get really good at that champ, and maybe that champ drops down, and then I focus on another one, and then maybe that one gets out of my pool. So let's get specific here. So let's say I have Jarvan and Vi, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spend my first couple of weeks, like I'm really focused on Jarvan, reviewing all my Jarvan games. I have Vi in there. I play some games. I think some good Vi games
And
here and there.
is the intention with having your second champion just to mix up your view of the game?
Mix
so you
up
don't-
the view of the game,
so you don't
yeah.
lose your mind with Jarvan,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's important. I don't think you only need 1 to not lose your mind.
Okay.
And then, the champ pool cycling is that, you rotate only 1 out of the pool at a time, and then you
But
can.
still you
at 3
keep that
metas,
ratio of-
You keep that ratio
Okay.
of 2 champs up until diamond,
And then what happens at diamond?
and then diamond you can expand to 3.
And what's the go there?
The go
Still a
there
focus on 1 or not?
is 3. That I think you always focus on 1 champion specifically.
Interesting.
I just think champ mastery. You can always level up your champ mastery. It's so important. That's what I've noticed more again than this Joker. It's like I noticed it with my Rek'Sai. I think I always think I'm good at Rek'Sai, but like no, I'm still really far away. Building that muscle memory, intuition in certain scenarios.
Do you think that this is specific to jungle? Is your hunch
Great question. Yeah, when I say that again, you got to remember everyone in the stream. I was going to say everyone on Twitch chat.
too much live streaming?
You've got to realize, yes, jungle is definitely less. There's no like counter pick is that It's more like how does my champ overall good into their team comp type thing.
Very interesting.
And supports with we can talk about the support episode with Cupcake as well that we did. It was a secret episode, I guess. That I realized that having a big champ pool and support is actually a bit more rewarding. What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I love where you're coming from. Look, I am definitely aligned on the idea of champ mastery. I love champ mastery. I love champ pool cycling. I think they're like the foundations of building a champion pool. I want to talk about, but okay, I want to talk about a horror story for a second. Okay, this is turned dark. This is not Christmas happy, chappy anymore. This is horror story. We're getting into the horror stories, all right? I'm going to put Van under the spotlight for a second.
I hear this name all the time. I love the podcast.
Van, long-term BBC listener, long-term MLA member. She's had a very tumultuous journey. She's had a lot of success, a lot of failure. She, in I think Split 1, peak, killing it, champ mastery, a lot of Victor
What
games.
rank are we talking about?
She climbed to Diamond 2, I believe.
Yeah.
From like plat, like really amazing climb. I think even she just really like a grinder. Great process, plays in blocks, reviews, intensity, like everything that we talk about
Ticks all the boxes.
ticks all the boxes, right?
Love it.
I
Good
get
work, man.
I get a message from her the other day, and DMs and I apologize, Van, if I'm not meant to share this story. I think it's just, and the reason I'm sharing this story is because I think there's a lot we can take away from this in the community. Okay,
We should sacrificial lambs are important. for the
Van, you're going to be
community.
the sacrificial lamb here.
Correct.
She came to me. She said, "Curtis, I need to talk." All right, obviously I'm going to do anything for Van. She's a long-term member, and she's, we've had a lot of reviews together, and I always like to try and go out of my way to go above and beyond to help these specific clients. So we end up having a chat, get on a voice call. You can tell she's been crying. All right, not good. She's not in a good mental state.
So she went from crying to straight up call.
No, I don't. I could just tell she was emotional and sniffling, and
I see.
obviously not going well. And I said, "What's going on? Give me the rundown." And she's like, "I'm in a hole, huge hole. I've dropped from diamond, definitive playing in diamond 2, diamond 3 games, and now I'm in basically bottom of emerald,
Really?
right?
Well, there's something going on there.
And then I whip up the OBGG.
Yeah.
Beautiful process. Not champ pool A+, shit ton of champ mastery, playing a lot of Victor, everything, right? And then she's like, well, what's going wrong? Because she's like, I have the problem solving mindset. I'm getting into the details. I'm doing everything. And so I said, Van, you've done one thing massively wrong. You have not champ pool cycled. And you've lost your mind with Victor. And you've dug yourself this massive hole, and you've gotten worse. I think she had 315 games on Victor or something. I mean, I promise you, you've literally, every game you're playing, you're getting worse at the champion. But then she said, but isn't that so contradictory to the whole mantra about the importance of champion mastery and developing champion mastery? And I said, well, in a way, yes. But the reality is that we're not robots. We're emotional. We have mental baggage. No matter how good your process is, no matter how of a mental monk you are and how healthy your relationship is with the game, at some point, unless you're like a hardcore outlier, there are hardcore outliers out there that do not lose they love their champs so much that it doesn't matter. If you do not champion cycle and you do not break it up, you don't genuinely break up that monotony, you will lose your mind. And she lost her mind. And I'm sorry, this is a painful experience. You've pissed away months. I said, this is what we spoke about this on the podcast. You can piss away months. Nathan spoke about this. He's been very vocal. I've been very vocal. You can straight up piss away months. But the reality is that there's learning. This is a very painful experience, but a necessary experience. And so my number one take from that experience was that, yeah, and she said, but theoretically I could have climbed with Victor. I'm like, yes, theoretically, but it was a combination of many things. Champ pool cycling, I believe, was like 75% of it. Victor, I think, Victor like really went to shit. Like with the way the game, the meta and everything panned out. And so I think it was a combination of Victor got weaker. She started obviously, that obviously will take a toll. But then also the compounding effect of playing only Victor for such a long time, not actually having a good, genuine secondary champion, as well as not having a feasible secondary role. She lost I think she had like a 37% win rate on a secondary role. But those two things alone, not having a second champion, not champ pool cycling, but then, not even being able to play a secondary role, you're done. No matter how good you are on that champion, no matter how much you like for a lot of people, not even how much you respect champion mastery, you're gonna lose your mind. That was my take. Mm. And she was like, "Is that it?" So it's really champ pool. You could tell that she was kind of like upset that was
the answer.
That it was like something to do with champ pool. Like out of everything, it's like fucking champ pool. But I'm like, yeah. And the reason I say that, and I said, I'm saying this not even as a coach, I'm saying this as a player. I've done that many times where I've played so much of a champion, especially when I made my guides. You eclipse that 100 or 80 to 100 game mark. For me, I get worse. If I do not genuinely play refresh my mindset, I legit get worse.
So then how do you explain the one tricks?
They're outliers. They're straight up fucking outliers. Yeah. That's it.
They can just smash
They
their
love
head
their
at a
champs
wall
so much that they can overcome that. Like it's like they're immune to that specific disease, if you will.
Yeah.
Right?
They have like immunity.
Right. But they existed everywhere, right? There are people that like eat the same meal every day for like years and they don't give a shit. They don't care about diversity. But like we see this in every endeavor, right? They're outliers. They're straight up outliers. But also, I think there's an important distinction to make here. Typically the one tricks that don't lose them, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them tend to play high skill cap, versatile champions for the most part. Victor, even though he does theoretically have a high skill cap in terms of skill shots, you're kind of limited in terms of like what you can do.
Yeah, it's sort of like the category of the champions. Right?
Yeah.
I could definitely see a Victor.
Because I heard Dunn, for example. Dunn's a great example. He lost his mind with Victor.
Yeah.
He's the one trick.
Yeah.
He was the high elo one trick. He lost his mind. I think he started playing Orianna and shit. I think I saw a message of his that said, I refuse to play Victor. I'm only playing Syndra and Ori until they buff him or some shit. I saw that a while ago. And he's the Victor one trick.
Yeah.
right? So I've seen that with one tricks, and I've seen that before with many one tricks, but before where they basically what they call they what's the word? They make a stand. I refuse to play my champion until you fix it type shit. Again, not everyone, but they are outliers. That's the answer to that question. So what do you think about that?
I think that my initial thought is that there's a certain category of champions. I don't know where to categorize a Victor. That because the game is, I mean, you're a bit of a lane bully, right? So I wouldn't really say it's like slow pace scaling.
No, yeah, you're a lane bully for sure.
I don't know where to categorize Victor. I don't know.
Well, you're a low cooldown control mage like that of Orianna and Syndra. And the reality is that the way I view it...
I don't know how hard it got hit in terms of nerfs.
Right. It was just significantly weaker than Orianna and Syndra.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a fact. Right? Doesn't mean it's... I could play Victor and climb with it. I'm not saying you can't climb with it, but like, it's like you're at a disadvantage, right? But that's not even the main reason to me. Like, that's just like... That was like, again, maybe 15% of it or maybe whatever. The main thing was that she didn't temple cycle.
Yeah.
So that's that was my learning.
Yeah.
Right? That was my
I think it makes perfect sense. And that's why I say 2 champs, but I think breaks it up a little bit. And you can maybe champ pool cycle quickly. Maybe you focus on one champ for, let's say, maybe 2-3 weeks, get really into the details there, and then bam, and you could like drop it out, and bam, you could actually switch it up.
But I think you got to be, again, this is where I really feel like there isn't a cookie cutter solution. Like there isn't.
I agree. There's really
like
not.
You got to be honest with yourself. Like I think for some people they can play one champion for like 6 weeks and not feel any negative anything around it. There are some people that for me, I'm probably less than that. Like, you know, even when I'm learning a champion, I like to do the 2-for-1 method where like even if I'm learning a champion, I'll do my 2 blocks of my new champion and then I'll play a block on my main account of like my main champs. I need to get the hell out of my head and refresh my perspective. But everyone's different. But you got to understand that is a concept there that you have to respect in some way, shape, or form. And in her case, it really destroyed her split. Unfortunately. Rest in peace.
All right, so I mean, obviously we're going to have to revisit the whole champion thing.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little preview to that guide.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
But yeah, we spent the first 30 minutes of that guide talking about it. And I was just looking at him, I was like, but yeah, no, it is really important because I think this is the biggest thing that people lose their minds. Again, you said that's for
It's not necessarily meta. It's champ pools. Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in the next season rank guide for sure.
All right, next up here. We're already like 20 minutes in the episode, Curtis.
We got to speed this up.
We're already up to episode 2 for the year. The next one here was announcing and talking about our foray into the below gold coaching.
Yep.
Setting up our programs. Now, the thing that came to mind when I saw this is a video that you made today about your learnings over 2,000 VOD reviews you've done in your program today. And one of the ones was you found that coaching below platinum is harder than anything above.
Yeah, above master.
Above master.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just to expand on that.
And people will be shocked, right, when they hear that.
Yeah, people genuinely don't understand that. Well, because that was a shock to us. It was a shock to us for like, we didn't really know what we're getting ourselves into, right? And, you know, look, I think that it really depends on your skill set, but I'm going to say from our background, especially since we've done a lot of high elo coaching for quite a long time now, you know, and that's our focus. It has been our focus for such a long time. We've kind of, you know, it's a new skill. It is a new skill, but the main reason it's fundamental, I believe, more difficult, even despite no matter what type of coach you are, is that really simply, I mean, there's many reasons, but the main one is when a silver 4 Victor takes a poor trade, there can be so many reasons as to why they take a poor trade or miss a laser, for example. There can be so many reasons. When a master player takes a poor trade, it's relatively clear why. You kind of know because there's so many things that you already know they know. So the amount of variables that could potentially be going wrong is so much lower in Master Plus than it is. So imagine like you have, let's say, for any given mistake in silver, for a silver client, there could be 8 reasons as to why they're making that mistake. In Master, it might only be 2 or 3. And so from a coach's perspective, it's very easy for me to identify the core reason as to why they made that mistake. And so it makes my job a lot easier. So the difficulty in Master Plus isn't necessarily, in my opinion, the coaching. That's why, and this is actually funny I actually mentioned this because that's also why a lot of high elo players can coach Master Plus players. Like a challenger guy that's never coached in his life can actually provide a lot of value to a Master Plus player because they don't need to be a good teacher. They just need to, it's knowledge a lot of the time. Master Plus a lot of the time is either execution or knowledge, right? But you don't need to, because they have all of that. There's so much they already know.
The client can pick up, even if they're fumbling over the words and like the concept is not explained that well. They'll be able to pick on it.
They understand what they're talking about anyway.
The lingo and
the
stuff
lingo
like
and everything.
That,
and like it's like they don't need to be a sophisticated teacher to get across the point because they can already instantaneously get what they mean. You know, and because also the challenger player already knows what the master player games are like. Because they're kind of similar. They're playing in a similar
not that far away.
Like, and the challenger player would be able to think, oh yeah, I know what, like if I were to Smurf and Master or whatever, or when I was climbing through Master, I know what it's like. But when like a challenger player is looking at like a silver game, it's like doesn't even look like the same game. Like you got to be selective with what you say. If I'm, even to this day, if I'm in a Master Plus review, I can say anything. I don't need to put a filter on what I say. I can say everything and anything and they're going to get it and I'm not going to overwhelm them. But when I'm coaching a silver player, I have to be so careful with what I say.
Where you prioritize what to put your attention to.
I got to put this super sophisticated filter on my mouth to stop bullshit coming out of it because I can completely ruin their journey.
Get really confused.
You can ruin a client so quickly.
It's funny because I have some couple of people in my below goal program. I talk about like why something's gankable and why it's not gankable and like the variables. And then they're literally saying like, well, this situation's different because, and they're saying I'm even more confused about what's a good and a bad gank.
Yeah.
Sometimes because I'm just saying like, why is this a good bad gank versus like, you don't need to worry about versus what I should be saying is like, I should be thinking before I say, you don't really, this situation is not going to come up that much or it's not that important specifically.
That's what I've gotten. And that's what I've gotten way better at. So the skill that I've developed in my Below Platinum program is the ability to not get distracted by things. I'll give you an example, right? I did a review this morning with this, I think it was a silver Goal 4 Lux, right? And, you know, she was doing an okay job. We looked through the lane, you know, we looked at some like matchup stuff into Zoe, whatever, and some trades and playing around neutral objectives. But I knew that she's never going to win this game. So she was like trying to get into the things about like, how do I deal with this Trundle split push and stuff? I didn't even answer it.
No.
I didn't even get into it. It's like, I've gotten very good at like getting across the key learning and not getting distracted by teaching them how to win the game. But when you're in Master Plus coaching, like you actually do need to kind of talk about how to win the game.
The outcome of the game is sort of
like this, you can expect more from them.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to get into those details a lot, in my opinion. So like, again, the art of coaching below platinum, in my mind, is about what not to say rather than what to say. And so that takes a very, very skilled coach, a person that truly understands where they should be directing their attention on that specific champion, given their rank, given what they currently understand about the game. So it's an art of saying what not to say. And that's hard. That's really
hard, especially
really
when you've got like our brains like racking over like, it's like so fast.
Exactly. There's like 1,000 things we could say. Yeah. So we got to reduce that from 1,000 things to like, okay, I got to really, really, really simplify it and not overwhelm this client.
The way I view it, it's like with like a, you know, bronze silver player, it's like, it's like 15 different paths you can go here.
Yeah.
But with like, you know, even emerald diamond plus, it's like, you know, there's like 3 or 4 routes, you know, so it's much harder to fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's been a massive learning experience for me. And I feel like I'm a way better coach. Straight up. I'm a way better coach.
Because of expanding to this.
Because of expanding. This year for me is
100%. Yeah.
I feel like I am so grateful that we did this. It's been an amazing experience. Very humbling experience though. Very humbling.
I think for me personally, there's still a long way to go before I get to where I would want to be for teaching new players and beginners into the game.
Oh, we're just at the starting line, really.
Babies.
I mean, if you think about, you know, for us, like, you know, I'm assuming you feel the most comfortable working with like Emerald players. Like they're probably the easiest to work with.
I think
Diamond, Emerald, right? Yeah. High Emerald, low. Yeah, I agree. Like low Diamond, high Emerald are like the easiest clients. And I feel like I'm so good at getting someone from Emerald to Diamond or even Diamond to Master. I feel like I know very, very clearly what they need to do. I'm not even, if I give that myself a rating of like say 9 out of 10 there, comparatively to platinum, getting someone to platinum from like say silver to gold to plat or silver to plat, for me it's like Like a 6 or 7 out of 10 or something like that.
7 would be high. I wouldn't move 7. Maybe a 5 or 6.
Right. Somewhere around there. So there's a lot of room, a lot of room for growth there. Moving on.
All right. So next one here. This was our most viewed. This actually wasn't an official episode, the Nice video.
No,
we
wasn't
didn't
even
put it on
an episode.
Spotify.
No.
So this one I think was really important. I mean, we said it in the little caption there. We want to highlight what an unhealthy relationship with the game looks like.
Yeah.
Bad review process. How easy it is, even for someone like as experienced as a coach as Nice. You can be delusional about your level of play so quickly. Anyone can fall victim to this.
I really think it was quite, in a way, I think from the community's perspective, we can learn a lot from it. It was quite sad though. I think that like this whole, you can tell he came in, he thought he could, he spoke a big game in terms of like his process and everything. And then it really just completely got exposed. And I think that what we can all learn from that, like you're spot on. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. And I think the review, for me, the thing that stuck out the most was the how poor quality the reviews were. They were just shocking reviews. And he came into the reviews, and I say this, I find this with clients to this day. There are clients that come in with a problem finding mindset rather than like a solution finding mindset. And that's the main thing. He came into every game, I can't say every, majority of his games, looking for the reasons why he should lose rather than the reason that he should win, how he could win. He wasn't trying to find solutions. He was just like, that's a problem. Top lane did this. My mid lane did that. Boom, boom, boom. I'm a victim. Screw Korean solo queue. It's a joke, blah, blah, blah. And that's what led to his downfall.
Not getting into specifics.
Getting into the details. He was allergic to the details.
Yeah, that's a good way to put in it. Sean also demonstrated that mindset of like cheesing or like viewing the game rigidly. We spoke in that video.
He was looking at the gimmick LP. A lot of gimmick LP.
You got to go bot, go gank bot. It's like, well, bots can be ungankable sometimes and can be ganked. Like you get specific,
He
right?
got really, really wound up about like he lost to something and like would tunnel vision on that and then win one way and tunnel vision on that.
Drastic changes in terms of his champ pool as well.
What I think he realized that he actually didn't understand the fundamentals of jungle. When he was playing a lot of jungle Hecarim, right? He actually didn't understand the fundamentals of jungle and he got exposed for it. And I think that was, I look, I don't want to harp on this, but it was, I do feel quite bad for him. It was quite a negative experience, so, is what it is, I guess.
And reading the comments of that, people really got to see, they were saying, wow, this looked like a video that was like shitting on Nice, but it was actually the most inspirational
a lot of people
videos that were really helpful to call out their toxic relationship with the game. Because like, wait, this is what I sound like and stuff like, what's going on here? Maybe I should be, checking myself with how I'm thinking about improvement of the game.
Yep. Spot on.
All right, let's find the next one here, Curtis. My next favorite episode of the year was episode 138. Why we aren't allowed to talk about game balance. And this one we sort of went over, well, I highlighted, sort of just the reality of what everyone's gameplay sort of looks like. What are the level of mistakes and how we're making we can have, maybe it's like the mindset, there's massive 20%ers in our play, but everyone's looking for the 1%ers.
I actually feel like this is one of the main mantras, by the way, or main messages of the BBC. Right. Like the fact that there are so many things in your control, so many things that you could be doing better in your play, that you're
20%ers.
Huge stuff, big shit.
Yeah.
That are completely, have nothing to do with the meta. Right. And, and I think we exaggerated the point, and that's kind of what we do here. And I think it's very similar of even one of the more recent episodes we did in terms of the high elo versus low elo details. It's like, let's just look at the goddamn details. What does that look like? What do the details actually look like? There's a reason. I actually said this in my recent YouTube video. It's a tough pill to swallow, but there is a very specific reason as to why someone is in Emerald 4 and someone's in Platinum 4. Someone's in Platinum 4 or someone's in Gold 4. Like, it's no grand conspiracy. It's like not like these ranks are just pulled out of someone's ass. You know what I mean? Like, there is very clear reasons, things, skills, and decisions and behaviors that you do in game that lead to your LP, right? Strip all the stuff away. The MMR, get rid of the meta, strip away all the teammates, the trolls, scrap it all, right? That's all the bullshit. Like that really, there are fundamentally better decisions. One person making better decisions. One person has better execution. Fact. That's it. And it's a tough pill that people, really refuse to swallow.
And it's not like these are decisions that only us or coaches know. No. The community knows it. These players know it. The people like coach knows it. Yeah. Bad recall, not lean into the right side of the map. Bad ganks
missing skill shots,
missing skill shots, missing abilities. Like these are big things that you might be shocked, but challenger players don't fuck this up nearly as much as these people do.
I love this because I did a review this week with I think it was a Vlad player, right? I think we were in Emerald a Vlad player. And, there are particular champions, and it'd be interesting if you have experience with jungle champs, where, there's actually not that much difference between, when you look at a VOD review sometimes in Emerald, and, there's only, a handful of things here, versus if this was, a challenger Vlad player and you. They wouldn't have died here. They would have executed that fight well, and they would have, gone here instead of there. Boom. That's it.
Two decisions.
It's like two or three things, and then they would win that game every time, and because they would never make those two or three decisions, and you did. That is why you own Emerald and their challenger. That huge discrepancy is sometimes only just a few
two decisions away. Yeah,
that's it.
100%. And people think that a challenger, it's like 1,000 decisions in a game. This league is really sort of limited in its structure. Yeah. There's only a couple of minion waves.
On certain champions, yes.
Right? Yeah, especially on certain champions where it's really sort of rigid structure where you have your windows.
In certain games, yeah.
And I think that's a message that people really need
to... People don't understand that.
No, it's even now, it's really hard to sort of come across, to get across, to really internalize it. That's the reality.
Really internalize that. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one. So I think that's one of our key messages, and I think the most simple, analogy we use there, or kind of example was, we can talk about how much whether you take Airy or Comet or Dark Harvest on Lux, but if you're missing one E, you've already missed the damage, the difference the rune would have done anyways, or whether Comet got nerfed by 10 damage, 20 damage, even if the damage got goddamn halved. You're missing, for a lot of people, they're missing so many skill shots, it doesn't even matter. So let's actually focus on improving the quality of our E's, timing E's with last hits and shit like that, using Fog of War, actually landing our abilities.
The 20%ers instead of the 1%ers of the little patch changes.
That's right. Big message.
Yeah, I think that was and I think that the sort of, I love this one because I've referenced this a lot throughout other episodes. Let's bring it back to this one, guys. It's like, we talk about signal and noise, where signal is things that are really important, and then noise, this is the noise. Back to this, guys. Back to the details.
And, tying back to your whole emphasis on champ mastery, I do feel like champ mastery allows you to have that, helps adopt that mentality, right? Because you kind of know, when you get better at a champion, you actually also simultaneously learn the significance of a mistake, right? Like if you're really good at, say, Jarvan, you miss this EQ, what would have happened if you landed that EQ.
That's the important part.
So champ mastery allows you to kind of simultaneously, really understand the consequences of the mistakes. I think that's an important note there. They all tie together.
All right, next one here, Curtis. What can you find here? People enjoyed this real life issues of the improvement. This was the story about... Who was the story about this one? You went on Reborn. Respect in time, hard work. Back to Reborn story.
Yeah.
Breaking down his story, keeping your head down. Where is Reborn now? So we did 40 minutes.
I think it was something along the lines of he was just playing for all the wrong reasons, and he didn't have that growth mindset, and he was comparing himself to others and all that stuff, and that was really holding him back. So to this day, just a really simple way to frame it. Any issues you have in real life are just enlarged, made huge and made more of a big deal if you try to play League and take leagues and try to climb in League. If you're feeling really stressed and anxious in real life because you're stressed at work and stuff, and you're using League as an escape, and you're playing, or you're trying to really climb in League, it's not a good situation. It's really not a good situation. Or you're feeling really unhealthy and not sleeping well, and that you're just kind of agitated, and you try to climb in League. you're going to be even more agitated. You're going to feel even shitter. You're really depressed and you're not feeling great and you just don't feel like you're being your best self and you try to climb in League, you're going to feel even worse about yourself. League has this really, because it's such a brutal and emotional taxing game, it really compounds any negative real life situation that you have. And it's such a bad game to play if you don't have your head screwed on, you're not in the right mental state. And that's it. And then that's why I say you have to address your real life situation before you can actually take the ranked climb seriously, in my opinion. And that's what I always say.
Absolutely.
But League, but also on the flip side, League can be an amazing thing in your life if you are, you are in a steady mental state, got a healthy situation going on.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
It is a double-edged sword.
And unfortunately, most of the time when we hear negative things come about the game, it's when people are in these emotional states, you would say, and then you blame the game, you blame champ, bam.
That's right.
Instead of getting into the details. So that was episode 143. I keep saying I should say the episode number for the Spotify listeners.
Yeah. The BBC Pyramid was a big one.
Episode 144, absolutely.
It's a great framework to use. I think we basically always refer the stage 1 to 4. People ask all the time, what's stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 mean? This is a great episode. I refer people to this one all the time.
So yeah, we felt like we needed to do this episode properly, and we literally made the whole pyramid, right? Because we never written it down properly.
Yeah.
Sort of to summarize this, the stage 4 is out of game issues. Stuff like tilt, sleep, toxic relationship with the game, focus on LP, promos comparing others. Someone like Nice in our case study.
Yeah, a lot of
stage 4 stuff. Then next up, moving up the pyramid, we have stage 3, thinking as champion reference points, sort of big picture. What's the win condition?
How do you think is your champion?
Champ identity.
Win conditions, your role and comp.
This is sort of when champ mastery, this is your step one.
It's like your mindset a lot of time. It shapes your mindset. How are you thinking in the game? Where are you directing your attention?
In terms of actually champ mastery, now that I think about it, right? So then the stage 2 is in-game decision making. So this is like specific macro decisions, objective control, trading size on the map and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's stage 1 micro execution, mechanics hidden and stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of champ mastery, I feel like you should start with stage 1, do you think, Curtis? Then go to stage 3 and then stage 2. Now I think about it, the way that I learned champions.
If we're getting let's get really specific, right? When you first learn a champion, you
need
to learn how your combo. Yeah, you need to learn your combos, right? Like if I'm playing Vex, I need to learn how to hit a EQ, right? You don't even need to know what the goddamn champion does. You just got to learn that this is how I do damage. So
how do you think about R and stuff like that?
Right. So that's like stage 1. But I will say stage 1 and stage 3 are very close.
They are close.
You got to kind of do them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like if you don't understand the champ's identity, you kind of like maybe the first 10 games, I guess, are only stage 1, but like that's very bare bones. Then you're basically straight into stage 3. And then you're living in stage 3 for a very long time, in my opinion. And then only once you've truly... Actually, I think there was another episode. I can't remember which one it was. The framework that I've been using a lot, actually, in my coaching, funnily enough, is the whole... You remember the one we spoke about where like it was in rules? So like it was a learning model. It was a learning model. And essentially the learning model, learning framework, and essentially the way it worked was that, there are rules... and then you got to so you get given the rules of like how this thing works. And then you blindly follow the rules. And then you start to develop muscle memory around the rules. So then you start to internalize them. And then eventually you don't even think in terms of rules anymore. You remember that one?
Sort of.
Roughly. Well, the reason I raise that is because I feel like in League, what happens is that, let's say, for example, like someone learning a champion, they learn the theory of the champ's identity, right? They watch our guides and like, all right, Nathan says, this is the champ's identity. This is how you should be thinking. This is the mindset. And so now what they do is that they basically screw around and they actually try and just blindly follow your rules. And then what they do is they test the rules. Okay, I'm going to actually screw Nathan. Actually, instead of diving, I'm going to peel. And so they stress test the rules. I'm going to actually do opposite of what Nathan says. And like, okay, there's a reason why that's a rule. And then they try to actually realize why that's a rule. And then again, they get to a point where they keep applying the rules such that at some point down their journey, they're not even thinking in terms of champ identity. They are one with the champion. They're not even thinking in terms of, I am this champ, therefore I need to do that. It's like, I just know what my champion does. It's like you internalize the rules to a certain point, and then you're not even thinking. And then you're kind of free flow. That's where the creativity comes into play. You can plug and play and you're just not thinking in that rigid state anymore. So my point that I'm trying to make, and when I talk to people in the MLA about is like, you got to just blindly follow the reference points. Like, even if you don't really have, you got to learn to feel out the reference points and why they are there. Like, play rigidly, if you will. Like, okay, only take fights with your R. Only use your R when you have your fear available. I'm talking about Vex. Like, only use your R when you have your fear available. Only use your, like, try and get to your lost chapter. And you know what I mean? Like, follow these rules.
Step one, because we know that being rigid in League in general is bad. Like, then there's the rules times to break those
Yeah,
rules.
yeah.
But you need to learn how to play with the rules first.
You need to feel those rules out
know.
first, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where you go from stage 3. You just live in stage 3 for a long time. And you only start to really get into stage 2 once you've really...
Stage 2 is once you got the muscle memory with your champ down.
Exactly.
Like, specifically for jungle, it's like jungle clearing. Let's say learning how to clear your jungle. That's stage 1. That's specific micro execution, stuff like that. We can't really be looking at lanes and stuff like that and doing stage 2 until we learn how to clear our camps fast first.
You don't have the muscle memory.
Yeah.
And that's the way I view it. And so it's very, very helpful for people to just blindly follow the rules at the start. You can't avoid that, in my opinion. I think it's the most efficient way to learn a champion.
So yeah, this is not really I feel like that there's a separate model we could make for champ mastery, right? The sort of the stages of learning a champion.
Or in more like what order you would do it, kind of.
This pyramid, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, this is sort of like the different types of issues with your gameplay, and obviously the bottom of the pyramid being the most important.
Because again, we can't even begin to talk about your execution or your in-game macro choices or anything if you're playing on 3 hours of sleep. Like that's it. It's nonsensical. Or if you've played a 14-game block, we're reviewing your 15th game, and you're crashing after the 17 Red Bulls you've had. Well, what's the fucking point? Why are we even looking at your execution? Why you're missing a Lee Sin Q? No shit, you're going to miss a Lee Sin Q. Yeah. So we're just going to get distracted. We spend our time in stage 1 when we shouldn't even be in stage 1. We need to realize that this is a stage 4 problem, and that's why it's structured this way. Stage 4 is the bedrock. That is the most. That covers everything.
If you don't have that, that's step 1. Then everything else is going to crumble.
And we shouldn't even look at your decision making, stage 2 stuff, and in terms of whether or not you should be playing for Dragon or should you be diving top, if you don't even understand the win condition. How can you make that decision? How can you make the decision whether or not you should be playing for Dragon here or diving top if you don't even understand the win condition? It's nonsensical. We can't even have that discussion. So that's why stage 3 comes before that. You know what I mean?
Stage 2 becomes before micro execution. Stage 2, one of the things in there in game decision making is resetting. Why would, for example, be looking, how do I win this fight when I'm sitting on 1,800 gold in my inventory?
That's right. Exactly.
So I think that was really important. We'll continue to reference people to that episode. That's like going to be a forever episode,
It's a forever episode, yeah, for sure.
All right, next one here. Scrolling down here.
I thought this one, the solo queue anxiety cycle, was just worth noting.
Episode 147.
This one was interesting in the sense that, I think it's a common problem where people kind of delay playing solo queue, and then the more they delay it, they make a big deal out of it, and then it gets worse and worse over time. I believe that was the episode. Is that what we covered in this one?
Yeah, I would love to see this. We love models.
Oh, here we go. This is the cycle of anxiety. Yeah, so essentially, okay. Oh, okay. So this was, okay. I think we were talking about Zed. I remember I used Zed as an example here, right? Yeah. Where, let's say, for example, you had a bad experience versus Zed. That's a common one in low elo in my program. Everyone hates versing Zed, right? So let's say you choose to ban Zed. So that's avoidance. This is ban Zed, right? So it gives you short-term relief. It's like, I don't need to deal with Zed. But let's say for some, over time, what's happening is that every time you ban Zed, you're growing more and more anxiety over Zed. Zed becomes a bigger problem. It's just there. It's looming in the background. It's actually a huge problem. So one day when you need to not ban Zed and you have to verse it, it's going to be the hardest thing in the world. You're going to have so much anxiety. It's going to be out of this fucking world. And this same model can be applied to not just champ banning and champ mental blocks. It can be applied to, again, I had a really bad solo queue game. So I'm actually not going to play my next 3 block. I'm going to stop my block there. I only play 1 game. I'm not going to play tomorrow because I'm still a little bit scared about getting trolls on my team. So you get that short-term relief from anxiety because you're not playing solo queue. But then every day, every night, you you delay that solo queue block, it's becoming more anxiety inducing until it gets out of control.
I like the graph here, the little circle. It says short-term relief. You can have short-term relief for anxiety, but it hurts long-term.
Long term, yeah.
It compounds. Yeah, I mean, obviously ranked anxiety is always a big one that people have. People just don't press the queue up button. They're avoiding queuing and up, and then it becomes a big deal over time.
Yeah, this is very relevant for many things in League. Like I said, ranked, banning champions, mental blocks, even roles, many things, secondary roles.
Playing the game with high intensity. Sometimes people have anxiety.
Reviewing,
yeah, I can't. Yeah,
getting a coaching session. That's another one.
It's got to be like the perfect VOD or
It's got to
something
be the perfect.
like that.
I'm going to get roasted. I'm so bad, or whatever it is. Who knows what Nathan's going to say. That's why you get people that haven't had a review in months sometimes.
Top lane episode, Biopanther,
That was
episode
great.
148. It's funny, we call it this the ultimate guide for top lane special. My sort of summary of this one is more so how to be a high impact top lane, how to actually influence the map, because Biopanther just straight up broke down people's narratives around a top laner is top lane. It's an island. You can't have impact. He's going over examples where just be going to Dragon here or out of base. He had that. He would always be walking towards sort of mid lane a little bit, then go into his lane, knowing when to attend waves, not to attend waves.
Moving down to dragons.
So yeah, I think that was I think every top laner should watch that to break down people's narratives of what they think top lane is. I think Biopanther really did a good job breaking down like top lane's not what you think. It can have a lot more impact than you think it is. And that's funny how that happens to be the case with a lot of things in League of Legends.
I love this one. This episode 149, Trolling in Solo Queue Breakdown, where essentially, the main point was that there was not nearly as many trolls. So I think you actually spoke about something. I think you had a statistic. I can't remember where you got it from. I think there was may not have been this one. Maybe it was another one. No, yeah, you did actually. Not this episode, but
with my live coaching.
Your live coaching.
Yeah.
You actually counted how many out of all
Genuine
those VODs,
trolls, yeah.
how many genuine trolls you encountered. And this is kind of the same topic where there really isn't nearly as many trolls as people actually think. And I thought that was a really eye-opening experience because I think the main takeaway from this one was because it's a negative experience, we overemphasize that negative experience. Right? Because, painful experiences have more emotional impact than positive experiences. So we always remember those painful experiences more when you get that one troll every 25 games, every 30 games.
We also in this episode tried to break down what's actually the definition of a troll.
What does it mean
The meaning
to
of
troll?
a troll of us is different.
Yeah.
A troll is not my Eddie carries who's gone 0-3 that I messed up a counter dive. I missed that opportunity. That's my fault. Why he's 0-3. It's very easy to look at someone's final score of the game and think, oh, that's just a troll. That person gave up. People do give up.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean they're a troll. That's not my definition of a troll. So that one actually got a lot of comments around people saying, well, you guys don't play in low elo and stuff like that. Well, I've been live coaching low elo for a long time. I don't really see it as really not much.
And if they do, just because they're 0-4 doesn't mean they're trolling or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a genuine troll is when they're actually coming into the game to intentionally ruin the game.
That's our definition.
And run down from level 1.
Yeah.
That's a troll. Right? Because then I think it got into this weird discussion about soft inting and all that. I think that's where it got a bit complicated. And we just kind of I believe we disagreed with that's not really trolling, right? Like, yeah. But anyway, I think that's a bit of a messy topic as well. Bit of a difficult one. The case study.
Yep.
That's a huge one. Episode 152.
Yep. The
What did
gold
we
4.
learn?
What did we learn from that one?
Well, I think the big one was, it just shows how. I think some people. I think there's many things. I think number one, some people can't be helped.
We had an update on this one. Remember from the Summoner School, people found out who this guy was. They had to ban this guy from the Summoner School because he was just out of his mind.
Yeah, some people can't be helped.
Yeah.
I think the other one is again, how delusional, kind of similar to the whole niece situation in a way, wasn't it? Where you think one thing is happening, like they look at a KDA or it's the problem solving, it's the problem finding mindset rather than the solution finding mindset. It's a victim mentality. It's searching for all the reasons why you should lose rather than what you could be doing to contribute. And we remember he said something along, he's looking at his KDAs, but then he was like, he wasn't farming or anything, something like that. And I think it just showed how, again, the amount of delusion that can be possible was astounding, absolutely astounding.
My favorite part of that episode was reading out his comments on our YouTube videos. Where was it? It was at, I can't remember where it was.
Yeah.
It was the first 20 minutes.
Right.
I remember one of the comments was saying they were surprised how we didn't just start laughing.
Right.
With just how ridiculous it was. Because we tried to be really sort of objective, but also go hard on the guy. But yeah, it's a great example of, I think as well, a good learning here. People are really good at talking about the game, but they're not good at actually get into the details. And playing the game is a whole different story than talking about the game. It's so easy to talk about League of Legends as well with rigid narratives, because he was going on about, he was typing in the game like, Ralliant Soul, something like
OB,
that.
that was...
And then he was ruining the game. He was letting him get free farm and Roman failing his
I think
roams.
he gave a bounty as well, I think at some point to ASOL. Yeah, it was out of control.
So easy to rigidly talk about the game. It's just not helpful at all, which is really funny because our entire podcast is talking about League of Legends. But but typing on Reddit, stuff like that, like, you got to be careful. You really got to be careful because there's lack of context. So much lack of context.
And I think that's I think you're spot on. That's the real moral of the story. At the end of the day, we got to look at the goddamn gameplay, right? Like that's it.
That's what we did that game. That's what we did with that guy.
We have to do that. Like
we would never make that episode just looking at his comments and breaking down the narratives. That actually wouldn't work. Let's look at specifically what's going on.
What's actually happening.
And we could match the gameplay.
Because we would never have been able to help, actually expose this situation without looking at the details. We could look at his OPG and everything. We could have a vague idea, but until you see it,
it becomes crystal clear, doesn't it, when you see it?
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. That's why I really enjoyed that episode, because we actually got to see the goddamn VODs.
And
so important.
Remember, there's a more specific one about one. He sent us that VOD like, hey, show me. I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was the intention. It wasn't us picking it. He sent that to us saying, you think you're so smart? How about you show me?
Yeah, it was pretty funny when you think about it.
It's crazy, isn't it? Isn't that crazy?
It is pretty crazy. Thinking back. I thought the Expetu 154 was great. I think that was just, again, with the emphasis on Champ Mastery, like he had that real obsession over Champ Mastery and really take. And then what I liked about that episode, it showed the differing ways you can enjoy League. He owned what he loved about the game. He had that unconventional approach. He liked experimenting with items and stuff. And I think that it just showed that League is such a blank canvas. However you want to climb, however you want to go about winning games, like, there are so many ways to win games of League of Legends, and he shows that there are many, many ways to win games of League of Legends. And I love these kind of case studies in terms of Champ Mastery. And again, the League personalities. I think Biopanther is obviously one of them, but Expo 2 was another one that I really enjoyed hearing because it's just so different to us. It's such a different take.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it was a great contrast to what the BBC is really about. And so I think it was kind of interesting to kind of get that external opinion on stuff,
From a genuine flat out one trick.
Yeah.
That's just been obsessed with the champion
and
for years.
Why do other people play League?
Yeah.
And the other ways to get high elo, I thought that was interesting.
The next one that I see here is, the Riot Froxon video. Every time we get Froxon on, this is the second time we had him on this year. I think our second episode was better because we sort of understand the perspective of Riot a lot more in terms of how difficult the job is at the balance team and their philosophy, their approach. And we said at that episode, we'll do definitely a yearly thing, So I think that was... Do you have any comments on that one, Curtis?
Not really.
We just exploring some...
It was just great to hear from Riot. I think I'm really grateful that we could have that sort of communication with Riot, to be honest. It's still pretty surreal thinking back on it. I never even thought that was even possible, to have that sort of transparency from the people working in the balance team. So definitely want to do that again.
That was episode 157. All right, next one here. I just want to quickly comment on this episode, because I remember specifically what I said here about episode 158, where we did a recap of our Split 1. This was 5 months ago. We both finished Challenger Split 1. And I said in this episode, if I could see myself probably being the High Grandmaster next season, and that's currently where I am and where I probably will finish, I am going to go for a final push in the next week or two, see if I can, because Challenger's about 200-300 LP away from me. It is possible. If I play like maybe 6 games a day, 2-3 blocks, maybe I'll do a 3-3 blocks one day. But I thought it was funny how realistic I was about my skill level. I knew that I hit challenger, yeah, sure, but I'm not sitting there going like, oh wow, like there's a big difference between high challenger and low challenger, you know? I thought that was funny about looking back. It's like literally what I said 5 months ago is literally the case right now for me.
Yeah, I don't really have any comments on that.
What's next here, Curtis?
I thought the Saber one was kind of interesting.
Okay, about 100. We have to do
162?
162 and 163.
Well, the main point really is that, you know, there's that generation of content creator or old school league player that just really don't, they've lost touch with the game and they don't really
They're
know
not
what-
adapting.
They're not adapted to what the game is really about now, and they kind of live in the past about what the game was and should, and they're very hypercritical of like the direction of the game, and rather than just adapting to what the changes are. And I think that at least from what I take away from that, it's like, holy shit, like, you know, you got to be careful who you listen to. And these are the sorts of content creators that are out there, you know, who are potentially even big role models to a lot of people in the community that, you know, it's like far out, man. Like the league content create or the league, I guess, community has a long way to go. You know, we're still in the phase where these old school content creators that have an audience that, you know, in 5, 10, 15 years, they're probably going to be getting weeded out. And, you know, I think we're slowly seeing the new generation of better content creators, but like, holy moly, man, this stuff scares me just in terms of stuck in the past.
Yeah, well, because League is becoming more and more competitive. And the big one there is because you're one rank at one season doesn't mean you deserve or you should be at all. The game's gotten worse. That's the big one. Don't assume the game's gotten worse. It's very easy to be like, the game sucks now. I can't get back to my old rank. What's going on? This is why you need to get specifically into the details. We looked at a couple of clips there and the way he was talking about the game, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think that's, again, just lack of
curiosity, lack of
awareness,
respect, lack of respect for the game, the
Yeah.
difficulty of the game. That's the big one. The lack of the respect for the difficulty of the game. And we know you have to, like, because like you said, it's getting more and more competitive every single year. And if you're not getting better, you're actually getting worse because everyone else is getting better.
Dust. You can get left in the dust
Very
quickly. Yeah.
Like, you take, honestly, like 6 months away from the game, and you can, like, it's not easy. It's definitely not. It's 6 months, you know, and you're, you know, you can be pretty detached.
Especially coming in with certain narratives.
Yeah.
Remember the old timer guy who wrote into Broken by Concepts
Recently, yeah.
and his view of the game, the way he was talking about the game, how it's not like that anymore. About he was a season 3 player. It was all about macro decision making, and he was just shocked because he couldn't keep up anymore. And we said the fact that you're even thinking about the game that way, it's gone, long gone. Those days are gone.
Nathan, do you even remember what the game was really like? I struggle to remember.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't even know what it felt like.
I am so detached from what the game used to be. Like, think about it. We both played the game for so long, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we play the game so often.
It's so often,
now.
no, but it's weird because, Curtis, it's our time, it's like distorted because we learn so much so quickly. Like a year of League feels
Right.
like a long time.
Feels like more than one season.
Yeah,
in a
it's
way.
like 5 years. So
Yeah.
it's like, how could we possibly remember if for 10 years, that's time
But
five
it,
times
it,
five,
but
it's
it
like
always
60 years ago.
fascinates me how people have these very clear takes on what the league used to be. I barely remember.
No.
I barely remember.
No, it's because we play all the time. That's what
I think
it
that's
is.
probably what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like even some of the changes are like blasting kind of stuff like that. You'll be like, this new map come in next year. This time next year, everyone reflects. People feel like, did this
Been
happen
forever.
last season?
Yeah.
Or was it, like, how many seasons has this new map been in? Trust me, people get used to it so quickly.
Because you're spending so much time on the Rift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
So it's like, yeah, I feel like League time zone is like weird. You're like in a
bit
time
weird.
distorted thing. So
Time
like,
bubble.
I view like season 3 was, been 10 years ago. Is actually 60 years ago. You're not going to remember much about 60
Yeah.
years ago, right?
It's literally, I can't remember.
That's the way I think about it.
The lonely experience of solo queue, 169. What do you reckon?
So this was interesting. We sort of had 169, 170, 171. They all sort of felt like these episodes felt
theme.
there was a theme there. Especially the worst league take ever by the Score Esports. I was talking about, he's trying to say that he could play the game with friends for fun and expect to climb. And then this one was about the big Reddit thread here. about someone talking about the league being a lonely experience and had lots of upvotes. And sort of just talking about sort of this next evolution of games. This post had 2.5k upvotes and 1.1k comments. And, the first line was saying, compared to other games, League is such a tragic experience. No meaningful interaction with your teammates, no banters. Everyone is grinding full sweats. And he was saying it's just too try hard. And it just feels lonely. There's not like that friendly sort of... And we're sort of saying here, it's like, well, this is, League is, again, becoming really competitive, And people, people have careers, jobs, people trying to get to the top ranks to become a pro player and stuff like that. It's a brutal game. And, I don't want to say it's every man for themselves, but like we talk a lot about your improvement is sort of selfish. You're the variable in all the games. Like you have to be selfish with your own improvement. If you start compensating for your teammates, thinking about your team, all sort of stuff, you're going to become a lot worse, unfortunately.
Look, I think at the end of the day, Nathan, this is more of just, again, what League was marketed for years and what it is now, it kind of two different games. And again, League is still very new, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, right? You compare that to a lot of other sports, right? Some of these sports have been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Like League is just goddamn so new. So we're only just now barely scraping the surface of understanding what League is actually about. What does it mean to be good at this game? What is this game actually about? And I think that people got sold an idea of what League is. And it is kind of confusing in a way. I think we made that little comment about how when you go into the client, it should just be like this very stark, black demon door that says solo queue, and like you enter at your own will or whatever, like
the solo queue contract.
The solo queue contract, you got to sign this contract and write it. It should be framed as a much more intensive, hardcore experience. Whereas it's kind of like you click play and like solo queue is right next to like a normal game.
Yeah.
But they're like it's a completely different experience. So no wonder the average player gets confused as to what League is really about, what the League experience should be. You go from playing a normal game with four mates from school to hearing us and the way we talk about solo queue. It's like, well, what are we actually playing the same game? And no, we're not. Solo queue is not the same game. It is a completely different game to that of playing casual normal games. And so I think that like there needs to be there's going to be this huge paradigm shift in over the next few years. 5 to 10 years more, where we're only now starting to realize what League is all about. What does it mean to be good at this game? What is solo queue?
So yeah, I think you're spot on. I think these mixed messages in these 3 episodes from these, the video by Score Esports, this post and that sort of stuff is people are just confused. Like what actually is League
and
about?
They're looking for a utopia. And if they got that utopia, League would die. And that's what we are so... we're so passionate. We want to actively defend what solo queue is now. We don't want it to be dampened down and made this, more communication, more voice comms and duo queues and 3 stacks and 4 stacks. We love like the fact that League is this brutal solo gladiator arena-esque thing is what makes it so goddamn beautiful. It is the closest to a meritocracy you can possibly get. And that's so beautiful. And we don't want to lose that. That's why we are so just defending this with our lives.
We are.
We want to keep it as it is. It's beautiful as it is. Don't ruin it.
Yeah. I have an absolute blast. I love playing League of Legends.
The gladiator arena, Nathan.
It is literally the gladiator arena. I'm showing my skills. I'm like the term we like to use, expressing our best selves. Right, coming up to our last episode, the last couple of months, Curtis. The last month or so. What do we got here? We talked a little bit back and forth about live coaching. Jungle, you tried the midline live coaching.
Did you have any updates with your live coaching?
I mean, I'm just still having a blast. I have a lot of fun. I definitely it's funny when I stream, I feel like I put on a little bit of a persona of like some strict coach, but I'm sort of relaxed and meming in a little bit of a way. I do enjoy it. I mean, I have a lot of people write in saying just from my streams alone, they've climbed from massive ranks. So I'm happy, even if it's helping, maybe 5 or 10 people, cool. I genuinely don't know the impact because it's probably still pretty new. But I just think it's a good opportunity again to engage with the community. It's just, I think it's like an extra little compliment, little touch on the actual, sitting there reviewing brutal reviews in my, Soul 2 program and stuff like that. So I think it's a good, and just trying to get to the community, just understanding what are mistakes in League of Legends, what do they look like.
I think one thing you mentioned that what I think is really good about it is that you get to just see what the average game
Yes,
looks
that's
like.
what I love to see. I feel like I'm really connected.
They're not
with the
nitpicking
game.
a VOD. It's just like, queue up, here we go, random game, boom. It's the definition of just seeing their average level of play. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Right, because the debuff of being
Stream
on stream.
debuff, we
but
call it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. It's raw. That's what I love about it.
It's raw.
It
It is very raw. It's ugly.
It is ugly.
It's ugly.
My streams are very ugly.
But that's good.
So, then we've got the 2024 range changes. I mean, yeah, I'm really excited, dude.
Me too.
I'm stoked for the next changes.
I'm excited. I think, I actually got asked this question this morning, like, what am I the most excited about? So I'm going to pose that question to you. What are you most excited about next year?
I am most excited about the excitement from everyone else. Because
You've
everyone
always loved
loves
that, Nathan.
new.
You specifically, you've
what's
always
that?
loved
What?
new season, fresh start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ladder reset.
Ladder reset.
Yeah, I
You've
do like
always been a
fresh
big
start.
goblin for that. You love that
Yeah.
stuff.
I just love when the community gets around.
It does make it a big event, though.
It does. I do. I like that.
It does promote excitement for solo queue, which is good. It is fun.
I know a lot of the streamers, I do like watching like the races to rank 1 and stuff like that as well. So it's not about the changes themselves. They'll be cool. I'm really curious to see how the items shape out, by the way. I'm not going to come up with anything. I'm just going to copy other people. That's what I always do. And just play good fundamental League of Legends. But yeah, a new map, fresh. That's what I love about League. It just gets updated a lot. It's fresh. I think they do a great job. I'm really excited for the 3 rank splits. So I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Okay, that's actually, Nathan, I think a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
That is big.
It's actually ginormous because you got to remember, you like the way even now what they did with 2 splits, that was even big, and the no preseason, that was big because a lot of people structure, at least in my program, structure their year around like, okay, I'm gonna get to this rank, and then I'm gonna use this time here to learn a new champ or whatever. But now, can you even take a month to like what does that mean for you? Like if you take a month, for example, to like say dedicate it to learning a brand new champion, that's a pretty significant chunk of time in terms of like trying to get to the rank that like you'll achieve your rank goal in that split. You know what I mean? Because think about it, the splits are going to go for what, like
4 months.
4 months, right? If you let's say the first split specifically, there's going to be heaps of changes, hot fixes, all that shit happening. So you got to take time to adapt to that. Then, especially if you want to learn a new champion, that could be another month gone. You might even have just 2 months to actually just straight up express yourself and get to your rank. Now, look, admittedly, there are LP changes that help offset that. But what I'm saying is that, like, I feel like you got to be strategic. Like, if you want to nail those, like, and have a goal by, okay, I want to be that ranked by that split, you got to really kind of be strategic about how you're going to use that time, in my opinion. So I feel like it's actually really big in terms of, like, the way people need to think about the year. It's not going to be, I'm going to get that rank at every split. It's going to, I think for a lot of people, it's going to be, I'm going to have to ramp up. It might take me a while to get to, I might not get that rank at split 1. I might only get it at split 2, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people have to really reconcile that because people might get disappointed. It's like, well, shit, I was this ranked last year. If I'm only climbing at a 52% win rate or 53% win rate, they might not achieve the rank that they thought they could. So, I don't know. I don't know what the resets are going to be like in between splits or how soft or how hard it's going to be. So, yeah, I'm really, really intrigued to see how the 3 splits is going to work.
Yep. I personally think 4 months is plenty of time still.
Okay.
This split has felt like Narnia, dude. Honestly.
This one has, because this one's way longer. You got to realize.
But it was 6 months.
This one's huge.
Yeah, but I could have finished the split.
Nathan,
definitely.
if this split was 2 months less,
yeah,
think about it. That would have made a huge difference to what rank you couldn't have climbed. At.
2 months ago I was challenger.
Exactly, that's my point. Now you're grandmaster.
Yeah, I went down. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Cut it short.
That's what I'm saying. It does have a big effect, either a negative or a positive.
Yeah. I think 4 months is a good amount of time. Maybe there's a toolkit that you'll develop.
I'll be honest, we just got to see it.
We got to see it.
We got to just feel it out.
I'm just trying to, maybe there's a toolkit where it's like, this is my learning split for champions.
That's what I'm saying.
And then the next 2 splits I'm going to be, popping off.
Exactly.
I'm going to really try and figure out how to improve.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I would say for me, the biggest one is that, the number one thing I'm most happy about is they're changing Hullbreaker.
Oh, really?
I'm
I didn't even know
so
what's the changes around
bloody
that?
happy. They're removing the resistances.
Oh, okay.
You know how you got the bullshit resistances that make you so tanky, and that like in my like again, this is gonna sound like a rant because it is a rant. I just really think they messed up with Hullbreaker. Like I think Hullbreaker was one of my least favorite. Like they've messed up with items this year. Straight up. Like we love Riot.
Yeah.
Right? We're best friends with Riot.
Yeah.
But I will say there are particular things that I really dislike the direction they went with. I think Static Shift just fucked the game. And again, I was very vocal about that, and I just think that Riot was slow in the head. They just didn't adapt to that very well. And Hullbreaker. And I guess they wanted to make top laners feel more impactful, whatever. I get that, but like, it's just silly.
Yeah, it's like these game changing items.
It's too much. It's
For
good to
one
have
item.
an item that will help you in the side lane. I don't mind that, but it's like, it's too much is what I'm here to say, and it just doesn't feel right for the game. So I'm happy, really, really happy for that, especially for my coaching. Like it almost feels like in a lot of my coaching as well. It's like, all right, there's a Trundle, that's 4-on-1. As soon as I get Hullbreaker, what do we do?
It's like this problem you have to
It's
solve.
a huge fucking problem where it feels like you need to have super sophisticated macro
You're
to
like
deal with.
solving, some
It's like,
calculus
goddamn, why is it
equations or something like that.
this hard? That one item just changes the entire game, and it should. They like that. Again, the reason specifically I don't like the resistance is that they shouldn't be harder to kill. They should do more damage to towers. I get that, and they might have strong dueling, maybe more damage or some shit. But like the fact that they get the all that and the resistances, it's too much because it takes them too many people to kill them. You know what I mean? So like I just think that ruins the game. They should be incentivized to build it if they want to split push and give them more tower damage. Even if they give it more tower damage, make it give it like a demolish or some shit, but just remove the resistances. That would be, I think, so. I mean, they've kind of done that, right? They've kind of removed the resistances. So yeah, that's my rant. That's my official last rant for 2023.
Item changes.
The item changes.
I'm
And
excited
just
for-
also Mythics, I do think it's going to promote build flexibility. And I
Diversity,
think that's
yeah.
good. I do think that's healthy for the game.
Agreed.
That's basically. And then map changes, obviously. For mid specifically, widening the lane. I think that's pretty good. I think the last one here that I do want to quickly mention is the high elo versus low elo details. People love that episode. Nathan.
Episode 177.
I think that episode was a really great one because we're actually able to show very in a pragmatic way what does it look like? What do the details? What's an example of the details? Because we say it so much, get into the details, but like we never really we don't show it that much. And I think I mean, look, to be fair, we've done the Curtis's Clip Corner, which I think has been a great addition to the podcast. But I think that showing this stark contrast between the two was a real eye opener for a lot of people. And so I just love that. I thought that was great. And it's something I want to try and do more if possible.
Do you think more focusing on what basic low elo mistakes look like, or the Vex clip type stuff is like, what is great skirmishing like? What are the specific details that a high elo player looks for? How do you review a high elo VOD?
I just really like, for me specifically, I think that's all great, but I just like the contrast. I think the direct contrast, and what would be even better is that you have, like, from your jungle program, a perfectly executed gank, and then like a
quick,
poor
clean
executed,
gank, yeah.
like a poorly executed gank, but like in a similar situation with maybe similar champions or the same champion, and like showing. You know what I mean? Like a direct contrast. And I think people really appreciate showing the contrast because when you make it painfully obvious, I think that's when people get like inspired to change. Like I've been talking a lot about like getting inspired. I like that word. Like I feel like I recommend even people in my Blow Platinum group, I said, I want you to just watch this guy play, specifically with his trades. Just get excited, get inspired about the way they're using abilities. And I think even if they can't execute that's fine. It's more about like, I want you to see what's out there. I want you to get excited about like what the skill cap looks like. And I feel like if you know in the back of your mind, holy shit, like there's that in the distance. It's really motivating in a way. Like if you don't even know what's possible, like even remotely, like you don't even know what it looks like, baseline. Like I sometimes can feel like a little bit weird. Like you get really detached. Like what's the point of getting into the details? I don't know what the next level looks like, you know?
It's like that it's like the journey is cool. Like walk into a direction. I think as humans, we always need direction going somewhere. If you don't have direction, you can lose the plot.
Well, it's even like as simple as the gym. Like you have a physique that you love, and it's like that's like cool. Like I think it's important to see like what is possible. You know, it's like, oh wow, like if I keep on doing this sort of thing, like I'm heading in that direction. Like I think that's really important. You know.
I agree. All right, maybe we can do more of that, Curtis.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe that's some of our own personal content as well. Maybe a different sort of coaching technique. I like this similar situations. Like I think of like a showing like the same zone and area of like a team fight of like a Hecarim.
Like a Dragonflight or a Rift Horror.
Yeah, and I could see like a gold Hecarim just starting the fight off with an R primer engage, and then like a challenger Hecarim out of Fog of War waiting for abilities to be used, then R in, like in the same sort of dragon. Like I could see that being a really helpful learning
because
tool.
you and I know, Nathan, and you're really big on this. Like you talk a lot about why Hecarim was really hard for you to coach and why people in your program struggle with Hecarim. Is that there is an element of like being patient with abilities and not just diving in like
with your E usage.
With your E, you're staying in your E and doing damage in your E and then kind of going in or whatever.
Proc your phase rush first, then E around.
Utilizing the movement speed to get more damage and stuff like that, right? Like I think there is something there about it's very clear. Like even just one ability being used differently changes like how much of an impact that can have on your outcome of a fight. Just one ability. Like if you just change one ability usage, it changes. Like, and I love that idea, that simple idea that like, and I know this for Syndra, use your E well, even if you're not amazing at all the other abilities, use your E well. It's going to have a massive change in the quality of your skirmishes and how much impact you're having in a game. Just one ability. So I think it's really cool if we could show that, what that looks like. Like what is good quality usage and bad quality usage, and like having like you said, an example where it's very similar situation where like you said, a Hecarim is patient versus fast, or a Syndra that rushes E versus holds E, and how that one ability can change a situation, you know?
All right. I think that's basically our summary of some of our favorite episodes this year. We covered a lot of ones.
And let us know in the comments, what were your favorite episodes?
Which one did you enjoy?
What sort of episodes would you want us to do more? Are there any kind of style of videos that you liked or episodes that you liked? Any other topics that you feel like we need to go deeper on? Any case studies you feel as though would be interesting that we could do?
I mean, we've had a lot of new viewers that have come from our case studies. So based on the viewership of our YouTube channel, it clearly says the audience likes
People
the
love
case
the case
studies.
studies.
Yeah. And obviously the ranked guide and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, let us know in the comments. That's the question to you. What episode did you enjoy the most from this year and why?
Enjoy your Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. New Year's. Have fun. Few bevies. And
we'll see you next year for another big,
That's it.
exciting season, Curtis.
That's correct.
It's going to be a big year next year.
It's going to be a big year. Strap yourself in.
See you guys in 2024.
Check the calendar.
Let's check the date.